Hello and welcome back to part 3 of this series. Today to begin, I was just gonna make a few changes that I honestly probably should have done a while ago. So for one, just by default when creating a new project, I usually throw all of the files in just a package called code, but I think that what I should do is actually change this to a more unique package name. So dot why does it say that this is because it doesn't want to do it that way. I guess I'm gonna do these one at a time. 1 second. There we go. And then similarly, you have to edit this. And I believe, second. Okay, sorry. And then I believe we can also group. Oh, and this is a typo. There we go. And this should still run. Yay. Okay, we can now commit this. Second, it's gonna prompt me for a password. Let's see if I can remember this. One second, let me get my password sheet. Okay, here we go. There we go. Next up, I wanted to go here, and currently we are using integers for all of the component IDs, and I think instead we should be using longs to get more numbers. Where it? Yeah, okay. Then you just have to go through and change all of these integers into long values. And there we go. So now that we've done that, just make sure that this still works. So apparently we have forgotten something. Let's have a look here. So judging by that, looks like there's been an error with loading the image. So this is returning null, which likely means that it's not been registered. It's interesting. That's so. Given that, oh, I know the problem. These were, because we changed the packages, all of these are now pointing to non-existent classes, so we can just do and just update all of these. And yeah, okay. So if we try that again now, this still works. You can still connect stuff, and you can still delete stuff. Alright, so that looks good. Let's see. So, next up, what I want to do is, in order to, so currently, actually, another thing I thought of doing was in GUI, currently we have this render project button. I think it would make more sense to say export, and then change this to Control E. Yeah. So now, currently, what I want to do is I want to add an implementation for this. So, and also, where is it enabled export? And this still says rendering, so there we go. Sorry, I missed a few. There. All right. Let's see. So, oh yeah, I should probably commit that other change. Actually, here, can I just and then we can commit there we go. All right. So next, I've been doing some thinking on different types of components. So if I get up Microsoft Paint here, does it let me make this bigger? That's good. All right. So really, what I'm thinking is that in the end, currently, we currently have all of these components which support, we just go to the base class down here, which support images and storing positions and rotating, etc. So what I want to do is add if we think about how this is going to work in the end, we're going to need, the way I see it, 3 different components, or 3 different types of components, I should say. So really, we're going to have something for editing, then and so when the program is running, we're going to end up with three different cases where components will be used. One is something in the editor, so that's what we have now. So that's these where you can drag them around and rotate them and connect stuff. Then we're going to have another version of these, which is going to be a simulated version, which will be very similar, but basically they'll be locked in place. You can't rotate them, and they'll be bound on the back end to some kind of logic circuit. And then we're going to also have logic components, which are going to kind of be the same thing, but they're going to contain the underlying logic for these components. And then these two are going to be kind of bound together, I think. So I was thinking of how we should kind of abstract these out. So going through what each of these is going to have, we can go through what this has now. So it's going to have ID, a series of ports on it, which is each mapped currently to a position, a rotation, and does it have anything else? Oh yeah, size and an image. Here we can just put that. And then looking more at this, does Paint have a highlight tool? Pencil, color picker. I'm not seeing a highlight tool. Oh wait, brushes. So if you think about it, then is this, no. Is there, yeah. If we just use a pencil, we can think that on here, the ID, the ports, and the image are all constants and rotating. Well, that doesn't really matter though, does it? So then if we think for something which is simulated, it too, so the reason we have the ID is for doing connections. So this is, so if we have a simulated component, we are going to also, we are not going to necessarily need it to have an ID, because there's nothing that needs to find it, because it's, if you think about it, its position is already locked in place, and currently the ID is only used for doing the lines between them, and in this case we'll just be able to specify exact coordinates. So they do not need an ID. They do need wrong color. They do need ports, which will be mapped to a position, or actually no, they don't need that either. They just really need image, which can be rotated. So for simplicity though, we'll just call that a rotation, right? And then a logic component is going to need to have an ID, because it needs to be able to dispatch events to all of its other components, which I think is a reason why it would need to have an ID associated with it. Again, think about it. If it just maintained a reference to all of the other components, I don't think it would need an ID, would it? So if we quickly consider the case, let's just say we have a buffer, and that runs into a junction which has an output going to, which, let's just for simplicity say it has both its outputs going, both of these two outputs going into an AND gate. There we go. So in this case, if you can imagine, we update habits in the buffer here, it will go and turn on this output here, which now I guess it does need to be so yeah, so let's see, so if we were doing this by reference, it would pass its update along to this guy, which would then feed it along to the AND gate twice on two different things, whereas if we were using IDs, we would do lookups instead for all of those. And you have to remember that this is also being done, this doesn't really make any visual sense, but at the same time there are a series of simulated components up here which are each tied back to these. So I think that if we so what if we took out all IDs altogether? So do I have an eraser? Oh, here it is. Doesn't help much. If we just take out IDs and then rather than passing around IDs, we pass around components, is that better or worse? So if we have a look at the code, resource manager, the thing that I would be worried about most would probably be this cloning code. So I think that would make our lives So currently we need the IDs to be mapped around in order to check if they contain when deleting. So I think actually having IDs in that sense does make some sense. Then let's see here. For the rest of these though, I think that logic stuff makes sense to have an ID for just simple interfacing with other parts of the logic program, so we can pass around IDs rather than components. And then it should also contain a list of ports on it, which have to be mapped not to position, because again in this case they aren't really positioned, but rather mapped to lists of components, and then it also has to have some logic associated behind it. So given that, oh, and then this should also probably have logic component, which is what it's actually linked to. So I think that this to me makes some sense. Do they not? Wait, I can do this. We get rid of this. So some commonalities that I'm seeing, we really have image size and rotation, and ports and an ID are kind of divided into two different sections, and this point over here implements both of them. So what if we were to do something like how would we do that? So what if we had in terms of how we end up structuring this, we have a base class which would be called like I don't know, we just call this a component and give it ID and ports mapping to something, then that can be linked up to here and here. And then if we also add another box or another subclass, which would be a displayable component, which has image size rotation, then actually here this makes more sense. Then you can do that, and, just to make these a little better. There we go. And so then you can see the only things which are now here. I'll just underline the parts specific to each of these components we'll use. How about green? Green's a good color. So position, and in this case, a list of components, logic, and in this case, a logic component. So these are all the unique things to each one, but then they're contained between these two subclasses. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Now, let us get to work on implementing this, I guess. So, for one, we can edit. We're going to actually have to basically completely rewrite this component system. Let me just quickly make sure. All right, working tree is clean. And then what we can do is, are there errors? There shouldn't be. No. Okay, there we go. I have no idea what in the world happened there. Good, and this runs. Good. All right, so I think that we're going to actually end up having to rewrite most of this component system. Okay, so if we start here, factor, rename U to just being component. Oh wait, I know I didn't do that before. Can I Control C? Undo that. I believe there's a refresh here somewhere. We can just delete this. There we go. All right, so the reason that this was called a D component is because component would interfere with the naming scheme of Java's AWT stuff. So what if instead we call this, say, a base component. And there we go. And then we can also create a new file, which is a splayable component. And that's meant to be up here. Oh, 1 second, I'm getting a call. Okay, sorry, I'm back. In any case, let's start package. And then I think that because, where is this? Because this component has to implement both of these, I think that we should make this an interface rather than a class, so that it can implement both of those. So this is going to, now I think that actually we can probably just split up the stuff from this class. Yes. So if we grab all of these and move those into here. Okay, so it doesn't like that because they are not set. So it's a shame we can't do 2 base classes. Let's think about this for a moment. Here, we just undo these. So both of these work better if they're able to contain some of their own logic. So let's just think quickly about how we'd do that. So both of these have kind of their own somewhat logic to them. What if, because I don't think that these have any use for an ID or ports, and so it would be wasteful to allocate them there. We just think for a minute. Let's see. So, what is the stuff that we have here? So we could actually just say public int get rotation is going to be this. And then if we also do, get image, see, how does this work? I believe you can say, no, there's a way to do this. Yes, like that. So, So there we go, I think. Oh, and then we also should have a public dimension get size and public point2d.double get position. Yes. All right. So I think that's good. Next up, all of these classes which are currently extending base component, actually this, sorry, I think I have to create more components. And actually now that I think about it, I think that makes more sense to me to actually rewrite this to be something like this. Is there a way that I can HDE dot like that? And now we have the actual components in here, but we have the component classes in here, and we can still throw them all away like that. And then while we're at it, this should also probably be moved in here. All right, here we go. Next up, more component types. So we need to create header component, simulated component, and logic component. So we can just go through and start creating this. So this is the one we already have. Public abstract class extends base component. Oh, that is me writing packages wrong. There we go. And implements displayable component. So now it's going to say, oh, serial version UID. 1 second, I have a program for this. There we go. And then, oh wait, actually this is abstract, it doesn't need one. I don't think. Here, we'll do it anyway. Why not? And then, so next up, it will actually end up absorbing most of the code from here. So if we actually, for now, just copy, actually cancel that, just copy all of the code from base component, this is going to be fairly similar, I think. And then let me actually edit this to have sorry, where is this? Here we go, and this is just going to say default and utils dot as int get position size. There we go. Go. All right. So, next up, we should end up doing, we don't need this in here, and a lot of this is going to be stuff that can be taken care of by other classes. So, actually, now that we have this copied, we can start taking out code from base component. So it doesn't need any of this stuff which has been moved to displayable component, and this here I use well, here for now, just keep that the same. I'll go back and change all this documentation in a bit, but we can have this map to whatever we want, and then base component isn't actually going to need any of this. It's just going to allocate an ID, and then this dot ports is new hash map. It's not going to be copyable, I don't think, or rotatable because it doesn't contain any display information. It's still going to have get ID, but it doesn't contain any position or points information, so this can also be removed. There we go. And then, there we go, remove all those imports, and this is going to be our new base components class. And then next up, editor component. It's going to extend base component, and what we're mapping port IDs to is can we create so I think what we want to do is we want to have a pair, but Java does not provide that. So what we can do is we can quickly say spy3.hde. We're going to create a pair which is going to be of two generic types, and we're just going to say final tt public final uu public pair tt uu this dot tst this dot u is u. And actually, what we make this even better, rather than making these public final, we'll just make them private, and then you can say sorry, here's how you do it. Insert code, getter and setter for both of these, generate. And there we go. That will be our pair class that we can use. So side and sure. And then what we can also do is just define public final we'll clean bottom side, right, top, bottom, and then make a private constructor, and there we go. So now that we have that, sorry, does it want me to write, oh, static, there we go. That, right, there we go, that's better. Now we are going to have image name, size, and position. So remember that these are not things which are defined in the subclass, but actually I think that image name, no, that makes sense. So there we go. I'm gonna have pause, and here, make these private. Get rid of this documentation. There we go. And we also don't need any of this. There we go. And there we go. So that'll be our constructor. Then we're going to create our copy function, which is going to basically be the same. There we go. Rotate is going to work. This is almost the same, actually. So, So all we're going to do is, instead of this, we're going to say or actually we can make this simpler. So ports dot for each port, or can I just to make my life slightly simpler, ports dot, what is it, entry set dot, or that ports dot values dot for each port. We can say side. We can just say switch on port dot get t, and then case left, hang on, new side, case left, new side is top, and essentially we're just going to go in this order down here. So, and break so that we don't fall through. For top goes to right, right goes to bottom, and bottom goes back to left. And so what does it want to do? It wants to convert to rule switch. So, all right, there we go. And then finally, port dot set t new side. That's what I thought. Huh. Well, we'll leave it as it is. And then we do not need this util.stop rotate function anymore. So where's that? We do not need this. I don't think we're going to need it again. So there we go. And then continuing on, get ID is already defined in base component. We do not need endpoint function anymore. Get bounds is already defined. Next up, we should define get points. So, how should we do this? Well, we should do ports dot map? No. Ports dot entry set dot stream. But rather than directly going to this map, we should do actually, we would be doing this a bunch of times, so we can just say filter side to left, and then do that for all of these. So copy this. And then right top bottom. And then we will define filter side takes in a stream of, what is this? Entry of string and pair of this stream and side. And then all these have to become get u, and all of these have to become get t. So there we go. Now we just have to quickly write up this thing to convert from this to this. So we just return stream dot map, or no, stream dot filter port to port dot get value dot get t is side dot map port to new pair port dot get key port dot get value dot get u. So basically, in not so many words, we take a stream which consists of the map entries, mapping string to mapping port IDs to pairs of sides and integers. We filter out the ones for which the ports get the pair, get t, which is the side we're looking for, and then finally we map each port to a pair which contain of the key and value that get u, which is this integer, and then we will return that and just do the same code on it we had before. Get point is going to work the same, and I think that finishes up this class here. And then organize imports, and I think that is that. So for now we can leave these two, and then we update these to extend editor component. Actually, here we should detected void left is just going to do ports.put port ID new pair side dot left pause right top bottom top bottom. There we go. And now in here we just have to do put left, put left, put right. And what abstract methods are we missing? Okay, oh, that is my fault. They should not need that. If we just go to editor component and make this class non-abstract, because I actually don't think it needs to be abstract, then generate all of these, return rotation, return that image name, return size, return pause. And actually, can we public void set position .2d dot double pause this dot pause dot set location pause. There we go. So now it should be as easy as quickly converting over all of these classes. So if we just, does it let me do that? Yes, it does. All right, 1 second. Actually, H. Can just tell it to replace all of those. Replace. And then if we also do replace linputs.put with put left, and replace our inputs.put with put right, place. And now it's still missing these, so put bottom and put top. There we go. Can I just close all of these? Next up, content panel. It's going to have a bunch of errors, mostly because it is dealing with base components and it should be editor component. And in fact, all of these should be. And if we just quickly go through and adjust all of these cases, then it should be as simple as that. Actually, here, can I just Control H? Comp.getSize, and You might be wondering why I'm not just going to do the same trick for position. It's because I believe there are cases in here where we just edit position, and I want to be able to catch that. Well, actually no, this does have to be a base component. If we just do question mark. In any case, how are we going to deal with this? What if we just say, what if we just cast this to an editor component? Should work. Oops. Yeah, over here. And same thing here. There we go. Down here, get position, that is new, is doing. That's part of resource manager. We'll change that in a minute. We can just cast this dot. What if we did an editor component? Okay, so it looks like the rest of the code does use this left input, right input stuff. So what if we instead do public map string get left ports and actually here I should probably add an implementation for this. Return ports dot entry set dot stream dot map. Yes. Actually, here we can just say dot collect collectors dot to map. Entry get key, and this is going to say entry get value. Get here. We can just actually make this even simpler on ourselves by creating a function get ports on side, which takes in a side. Why doesn't it like this? Oh. Does it let me? No, it doesn't. Okay. Actually, it should, shouldn't it? I'm going to get you. Does it like that? Does not. Okay. Value dot get you. There we go. In any case, we'll just tell it to filter out port dot get value dot get t is side. So there we go. And now we can just say get left ports is going to be get ports on side left, and so on for all the other sides. And bottom. And similarly, we can say get left ports dot entry set dot stream. And similarly, this will go get left, get right, get top, and get bottom. And we can just go and revert this code to what it was before, which was this. There we go. All right. So next up, back to this. We will change this to get left ports, and this to get right ports, this to get position. There we go. And next up, continuing down, fix that in a minute. Dot set position, get position. Why doesn't it like that? In types require double double, bound double double. Oh. Heh. Can we sorry, it would be better due to the way it's currently implemented to have where is to use discrete x and y values rather than a point, because currently they're all getting pause and then calling dot set location on them on it. So there we go. And down here, and you will be get size. There we go. So what's left is get and reset, which will actually return an editor component. There we go. Missed one. No, I didn't. Wait. There we go. And that created an error here somewhere. Oh yeah. That's better. And now that works. And finally, last error in here is with this function, which has to take in editor components. These have to be get. Oh. Position. Get position. And, oops, sorry, get size. Get size. Get size. Get position. Oh, sorry. This is calling set location on it, so set position. Get position. get position. And that seems to work. And now just to make sure I didn't do something like I tried to do here, you find, search for get position dot set location. Nothing. All right. So now that we've done that, let's just make sure that this works as it is. And it does not. So let's see what happened. Oh, I changed package names again. Here, can I think this has already happened twice, so what we might want to try and do is does get name get the full name? Yes, it does. So I think this will actually end up trying to load the class twice, but it's only done on startups. So D buffer. Do not gate. So I'm just going to go through and quickly do the rest of these. And alright, that's done. I think the next thing I want to do is put these in alphabetical order because it will make me happier. And that's reason enough. Not or and that is better. Last thing I think I want to do is change all of these from starting with D to E for editor component. So does this support bulk rename? It does not. Well, can refactor this one to E junction. How about this? So I currently have this command prompt open. If we cd source, cd main, cd java, cd com, cd, then we have all of these classes. So what we can do is we can just start Python and let's see, I believe there's a way to iterate over files. In fact, hang on, we did this. CD, shoot, where did I put that project? I did not put it there, I can tell you that. Where would I have put it? Oh, I know. Yeah. CD source, CD repo, CD line formatter. So if we just print out this import OS, import sys, and then we just copy this line here, this should iterate over everything in the current directory. For the moment, we just to remind me what all this does. I think that's something you can do. No, it's not. Okay. So it will do that. I'm sure there's a way to rename files. If we just Python rename file, then os.rename. So if hang on. Okay. So for file in files, if file dot starts with, I believe is the keyword, or is the function, actually even better, if file 0 is D, so if it starts with the letter D, then then os dot rename file to E plus file 1:. And that didn't refactor any of them, did it? All right, 1 second, let me undo that real quick. Where's this? Then instead replace E back to D. Rename U back to... Fine, I guess we'll have to do this the old way, which is manually doing this by hand. All right, that is how my attempts to be clever can fail. Give me a second. And there we go. And then we again make sure this still works. Can still create a new project, can still place stuff, can still connect stuff, and can still drag stuff around. It's good. Oh yeah, I wanted to make sure that resource manager anywhere that we have base component, we should change it to base component ? Just to indicate that we are using raw types. So we can quickly go through all these and change that. All right. So now that that is done, we can get status will show us that all of this stuff has been changed. Actually, no. Here, add everything. Well, actually, while we're here, can we, how does this program work again? Here we go. So, there we go. let us quickly tell it to format all this stuff. And then just Java, right? Yeah. There we go. And you can see that it went through and changed something. But this still runs. Yeah. All right. So next up, status is gonna tell us all of this stuff changed. But what I wanted to do was get store staged. So currently these classes don't have, these classes don't have any code in them. Here, why not? We'll do that now. 3.component not just .component class. Oh, HDE. Implements displayable component, and it's basically just going to say, for now, here, can we say, or sorry, it extends. Serializable. So we can write this to a file, and that's good. Implement all of these, and we're just going to essentially say that all of this is just stuff that's going to be passed in on creation and left forever. So private final dimension size, private final double position or pause, final int rotation, and also we're also going to store a logic component, so based off of this, that takes care of all of this information that we said it needed. Actually, yeah. We'll just have all of that created at the beginning, and then each of these can just return their respective values. What was I doing? Oh yeah. So next up, yes, you can get a serial version UID like that, and I think that should, oh yeah, public logic component get logic component return logic comp. Actually, well, that's fine. So for now, this will be all it has, I think. Yes. So if we quickly over here, it's complaining because logic component isn't actually defined as a class, so we just do that. Then define logic component, then it should be happy. And that's good. So yeah, I think that's good. In any case, what we should do next is actually, I just thought of something. This will probably make some more sense later, but for now, I'm going to actually change getImage to be part of editor component, or at least I'm going to change the implementation. Image at override, and then throw it up here with all the other overridden methods. This will probably make more sense later, but the only two classes which use this function are going to be these two, and this one's going to have a slightly different version of it. So going back to the displayable component, this is just going to say public image get image. There we go. It's good. And for now, we will just do, well, no, we can add some of the code now. So it's going to be very similar, but do that, and then I'll come back to that, but for now I also want to write up logic component, which is not going to be a displayable component, but rather extends base component. But rather than mapping to port positions, this is instead going to map each of its ports to lists of components. Yes? Yes. Okay. So, it will also need a serial version UID. Where is that? What was I doing? Oh yeah. There we go. So we can add that in. And then, so actually wait a minute. In editor component, nope, okay. So logic component is mostly, I think, going to be left up to subclasses for actually implementation of the logic. So we'll make this abstract for that reason. And then so he said it's going to have an ID, ports, and it's going to also include some logic. So we're going to have a public void do logic. You know, one of the things I'm known for is my incredible ability to name things. Next up, I think, let's see here. So the way that I want this simulation to be able to work is that it will receive a, sorry, what was I thinking? Is that it will get a state, or that it will be able to do two things, which is stepping the simulation and which is stepping the simulation and then running the simulation. So, here I believe I have a game which demonstrates this fairly well. Actually, one second, let me pause for the video for a sec. Okay, so here I have a game called Silicon Zeros, which I've actually beaten, or not perfectly, but I've beaten it. In any case, we go to one of the later levels in here. Sure. In any case, I was looking at doing something like this. So, obviously I'm not using this exact same GUI, but you would be able to hit a run button and it goes and you can see it steps through and it does its simulation stuff. And then I'm not gonna fully add every one of these features, but you'd also be able to go through and step the simulation like this. That all being said, I probably won't add reset and backward stuff because the way that I'm pretty sure they do this, although I can't be sure because I haven't worked on the development of this game, is that when you click the test button, it goes through and it actually steps through the entire simulation that it creates and then stores all the states so that you can just scroll through them like this, which is useful for debugging, but is not something that I think I would be doing. So I think that I'll just have stepping forward and also playing, but in any case, that's basically what I wanted to show. Let me flip back to the code. Alright, so back here in code land, let's see here. So I think that the way we want to do this is, I don't know, before I was thinking of doing a push model where each component would kind of have a state and then when it updated it would notify all of its other components, but I think for this it actually makes more sense to do a pull model where every component has essentially a two-step logic circuit. So first it goes through and processes its input and queues its next output, and then after that its next thing it will do is go and update that output to be what's displayed. And that means that all the simulator has to do is call those two functions in rapid succession, and to step it, it just does one pulse of each of them, and then that would be it. So how do we want to do this? I think what we want to do is we want to have a abstract void QState and another abstract void push state, and those will do just what I'm talking about. So first we'll take, for example, if we had an AND gate, amazing drawing of an AND gate. The first thing that we do is we'd call QState, which would go and read both of its inputs and say, is this an AND? And if so, it will queue the output to be either a 1 or a 0. And then that ensures that, say, if this is connected to another AND gate, then as soon as we call that, it doesn't immediately update, and then this update is influenced by this one when they happen on the same kind of cycle. In any case, it does a 1 or a 0, and then we would call a push state after all of them have queued their next state, and that will go and update it across the board. I want to keep this open. Let's just there we go. So those will be implemented by each of their own components. And then what we also want to have is we want to have a public So wait a minute. So what if, rather than just having this, we have an array list of pairs of n, because it has to know on which port of each of these components it's attached to. So there we go. That's better. And now if we say actually even better, each port is going to not just have this, but it's going to be pair. So each port is going to be a pair, booleans, and this array list info. So then we can have a public boolean get port string ID, which is just going to say ports, or return ports dot get ID dot get t, or even better, ports dot contains key ID. And this ensures that we don't get any null pointer exceptions if someone asks for a non-existent port. There we go. We are not. So can I press? Oh, 1 second. All right, sorry, I'm back. So that will get the port state, or yeah, there. That makes it more clear. And then, see, I think that might actually be all we need, right? Because we'll register it with, oh wait, no. Because yeah, so wait, what was I doing? Oh yeah, logic component can actually take in this can actually take in a list of connected components, and that will just call ports dot put all. Actually, wait a minute. So ports dot put all. Connected components dot stream dot collect collectors dot to map. Does this work? Pair get t pair get u. Does that work? Does it not like that? Incompatible bounds. This variable u has incompatible bounds, so it's trying to convert array list to, wait a minute. Okay. So it actually just needs, no, wait a minute. 1 second, let me think for a moment. So this is the string on this component, this is the port ID on this component, this is the port ID on the other component. Does it make more sense to have the components doing the mapping to, which way makes more sense to have it? Does it make sense to have one array list which just contains essentially 2 strings and a component, or does it make sense for the code to do all the parsing the other way? Now, I think that for the code, this way makes more sense, which means that what we have to say is .stream.collect pair to get t pair to get u. So wait, why doesn't it like that? Oh, I see. So what we should do instead is say dot for each if not ports contains key. So if it doesn't already contain the port, then ports dot put to array list, and then we can just say ports dot get comp dot get t dot put dot add dot get u dot add all, or no, just add comp dot get u. So for everything in this list of connected components, if the ID of the port does not yet exist on this component, create it and add the component to it, or create it and then, regardless of whether or not it was created, get it and add the component to the stuff connected to that port. So that should do that. And then here we also just public, or sorry, protected void create port string port ID. Sorry. It's just going to say the same thing, so if it doesn't contain it, then create it. Right? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This will fail. Shouldn't be a new array list, it should be a new pair false new array list. Wait, like that? Yeah. And then because this code is the exact same, we can just create port comp.getT. And then there we go. Alright, so after that, is that all we need? I think it might just be, oh, except for one last thing, which is that all of these, this creates a problem. 1 second, let me think about this. So what I want to do is currently it's set up so that we store all of these logic components and such in as object references in the component. And I'm wondering if it wouldn't be better to instead use IDs when they are serialized. Hmm. Here's a question. If we open up a tab, Java object serialized twice. So do we know whether Java serializes stuff twice if we do it that way, or if we store them normally? So basically, the way we'd end up storing this is we end up storing like a list of logic components into a file, and so just using Java serialization, but each of them contains references to a bunch of other logic components. So I'm wondering if that means that we'd end up serializing everything multiple times. I don't think so, because otherwise we'd end up with all kinds of weird references everywhere. The problem is that if we do it this way, then we have to essentially load it twice, because otherwise everything will be what's its face? Because otherwise everything will be stored, and then we have to wait for everything to be registered with Resource Manager before we can resolve the IDs, which would make it hard. So if we think for a minute. Okay, well, I think for now this should probably be fine. Yeah. Alright. And then actually I think one of the last things we have to do is we have to create versions of these for the simulated and logic components. Does it let us just we just tell it to refactor all of these, then yeah, it just adds _1. Okay. Well, let us go through and edit all of these. Wait a minute. These image names are also something we'll have to change in any case. 1 second, let me just go through and actually there we go. So let me just go through and create all of these, or rename all of these. 1 second. Okay, I think that should be all of them. We just quickly make sure this is 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 3, 6, 7, or sorry, I think it starts here. 3, 6, 8, which is correct because the buffer, or sorry, not the buffer, the junction doesn't have any logic to it, so I did not create one for it. 3, 6, 9. All right, that's good. Now, next, we just say close all. We have to go through and actually program all of these with the specifics of their type. So if we just go through and say open all of these, AND gates have to extend, the S components have to extend the simulated component class, and required string dimension double int logic component. So notation logic component. Shoot, what did I do? Oh, heh. Yes. Actually, here, if I go to here, is this constructor used? No. So I think I can actually get rid of all of these constructors. It'd be nice to know that a while ago. All right, I will go through and do this. Okay, I guess true, because buffers are going, or sorry, junctions are going to need a logic component to correspond with that. So 1 second, we will need, go to E junction, or and rename it to L junction. There we go. And going back to this, Okay, so now that we're done with that, a few other things that I realized we have to do is one, all of the components have static blocks in them which register the images. I think that should be contained just to the simulated components, and then we'll program the content panel to load them instead of all of the editor components. So let's do that, and then while I'm at it, I also have to change all of the serial version UIDs on the logic and simulated components. So give me a second to go through and do that. Alright, so I've gone and done that. And what we can do next is we can say, where is it? So I think we have to click on package, inspect and transform. And then if we just wait for this to load, then you can see I set up a bunch of different types of inspections here, but if we just go to organize imports, inspect, then you can see that it has gone through and detected. Should have found more, I think. Right? 1 second. Clearly I've done something wrong. Inspect and transform. Wait. Here are imports. That's what it has to be. And then is it that I didn't select like let's try that. There we go, that got it. So now you can see that it went through and it detected all of the places where we have import problems, and we can now just say do refactoring, and it is done. And while we're at it, go and format it. However, I still don't think we are done because of two things. For one, in content panel, all of these have to be changed to S, 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 and S. And then fix the imports. And you can see that we're now using all of those correctly. And then we can do and then in all of these logic components, we have to go and implement these two QState and pushState things. So here I can go through how I'm going to do one of these, but it's pretty simple overall. However, I probably will have to remember like what in the world a NAND gate is, or a XNOR gate. In any case, what we'll have to do is say, actually here we can create some functions and logic components to help us do this. So protected Boolean, get input state string ID, and protected void set port state string ID. So for this we can just say if ports dot contains key ID, ports dot get ID, or yeah, dot set t state, and then this has to be Boolean state. And then get input state is going to say if the port doesn't exist, then just say false. Otherwise, let's see, or actually here we can use the stream API again. Ports dot get ID dot get u dot stream dot map port to port dot get t dot get port state port dot get u. So basically for every component here, we should actually say comp. But for every component that's connected, get the component, which is going to be another logic component, and check the port state on u. So check the ports, and so just check whether the port we're connected to is on or off. And then dot any match Boolean value. Yeah. So and return. So if anything on it is connected, then we'll classify that as true. And then actually here, we also have to define another abstract void, which is going to be is active, which is just going to be whether this component has one or more of its outputs turned on, which will be something done by the subclass, because we don't know which of the ports, because while we know which ports are on it, we don't know which ones of them are outputs. So given that, let's see here. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Okay. So if we go and actually implement that, so we can do it this way. We're going to have private Boolean next state. Q state is just going to say the next state is going to equal get input state I1 and get input state I2. So we read the two input ports and we get the and between them, and we set that to next state. Push state is going to just say set port state O next state. So that, and then is active is going to return, and it should be a Boolean. We have to fix that over here. Return get port state O. Alright, so there we go. That will be all the code for the AND gate. And then it's just going to be a fairly similar procedure for all of these next ones. Okay, I'm on the junction now, and junction is actually going to be a little bit different than the other ones because the way this is going to work under the hood is a junction is not actually going to be registered as connected to anything. It's going to know what it's connected to, but nothing's going to know that they're connected to it, which means that it can read all of its inputs, but it can't push anything. That's also why it only has one port, because it only needs to know, because in the eyes of the junction, there's only one thing connected to it, because it's all just one thing. So Q state is going to do nothing. Push state is also going to do nothing because there's nothing to change. And then isActive is just going to say return get input state P. So there we go. Alright, this is the point where I have to start turning to go. All right. I'm going through and writing these, and I'm thinking most of these are actually just taking two inputs like this and spreading them to a single output. So what if we did something like this, where we say new Java file, we'll call this a $2i10 logic. Let me guess, they can't have numbers in it, can they? And for this, we can just say, sorry, did I change the package declaration? We just create an abstract class, I201 logic component, which extends logic component. And then, of course, give it a serial version UID. And take connected components. So it is essentially going to be it is going to be abstract, but it's going to have the following in it. So so there we go. And then this can just be is get next state, get port state, I1, get port state I2, so for this we have component, which is going to basically be the same thing except it handles all the code that I'm writing multiple times, so that it will just call get next state once whenever it's updating its state, and it will handle all the actual interfacing with the ports and whatnot in here. So now you should be able to instead say so now we should instead be able to say I201 logic component and update the stuff it imports. And then because this is an AND gate, we just return I1 and I2. And there we go, it's that simple. Oh, and we take out that. There we go. All right. I'm going to go and update the rest of these. Oh, and actually, before I go through and do that, I also have two which are like this, so we can write basically the same class that's instead going to be this, and it's just going to say that. So here we go, and yeah, all right, I'll go change all these over. Oh, this class is wrong. Alright, so that should be all of them. I think that I am going to go take a break from this, and then I will come back and write up documentation, and then we can push this to GitHub. Okay, so I am back. What we can do now is we have a look at Git status. We can just add all of these files. Oh, and actually, before I forget, we should format them. There we go. And then commit. Go. And now I will go through and do some documentation. Be back. Okay, so one thing that I'm going to adjust here is that in Logic Component currently we're inputting an array list of all of pairs of port IDs on the Logic component to pairs of components they're connected to, and I think that it would be better if we use a collection, simply because it's a more generic type and we only need the for each method on it to iterate over it. So I'm going to just go through and replace all of those. And then that will create a bunch of import errors, and so we can then say, inspecting transform, current project, imports, inspect, and do refactoring. Yeah, that does not seem to have grabbed them all. One second. And there we go. All right, back to documentation. Okay, so I think I'm done writing documentation, but right here we can go and check. So this should go and yell at me for anything that is not Java docked. I don't do them for anything which is overridden, so let's see here. According to this, looks like we're just missing stuff on pair. Did I set this to here, let's make sure I selected the entire project. Here we go. Okay, so let's see. Oh. So let's see, here we'll just go through these one by one. All of these are overrides, we don't need any of those. Same with GUI. Pair, we have to do that. Base component, editor component. All of these are overridden, and I think that's going to be most of the rest of these. Just make sure I'm not missing any param tags or something. Can I change that? Anything else? The rest of these should be, yeah. Alright, so it looks like we are just missing looks like we're just missing this at param tag and Java documentation prepare, so I will go do that. One sec. Alright, there we go. I think that should be it. So if we just run this, you can see that this still runs. Should still be able to connect stuff. This all works. Copy and pasting still works. Deleting still works. I think that this is all good. Let's just make sure, can we ooh. Okay, so let's see, what is it not liking? Actually, hang on, if we go into build, sorry, it's build Java docs. Generate Java doc says Java doc generation failed. Couldn't find. Oh, because these are all now referencing longs and not ints. Alright, so with that, I think that all these Java docs are good. You can see that's all that we've changed. And we can just commit that. And there we go. Let's think, what else did I want to work on? I know there were a few things. I believe one of them, well, you know what, this I think is a good stopping point for today. So we can push these changes. Right, there we go. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.